Today on First Cup, we're talking about one of, if not the biggest episode of martial arts radio of all time. We'll talk about this past weekend and what you all did, what I did. And, well, it's the first episode of First Cup of 2022. So stick around. We're rolling in 10. All right. Coffee and this in 3, 2, 1. Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Today's Monday. It's January 3rd, 2022. Weird. My name is Jeremy, and this is my first cup of coffee. Good morning to Jenny and Liz and Andy. And good morning to all of you, whether you're watching live, later, listening. Doesn't matter. I appreciate you, and thank you for joining me as I have my first cup of coffee and we talk about martial arts in the world and everything together. So how was your weekend? How was your New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, the rest of all of it? I want to know. Drop in the chat. Let me know. Good morning, Stacy. So Friday, I did a little bit of work in the morning, put together some marketing things for 2022, and then went for a hike. Took some friends who had never been winter hiking. They moved here from California not quite a year ago. Took them to one of my favorite mountains and we hiked. And it was really interesting because I took some of their preparations for granted, as did they. So the short of it is not everybody made it to the top. Everybody is safe. Everybody's okay. A little more adventurous than I'd anticipated. Not like rescue or anything. But it was a good day. And then went and hung out in Burlington for Burlington's New Year's Eve stuff and with some friends. And that was a good day. Good morning, Mark and Dennis. Andy says, awesome. Went to dinner with my girlfriend on Friday night and did some painting yesterday. Sounds like a pretty good day. Saturday, got up, did a little bit around the house, drove to Maine, dealing with estate stuff. It says, Happy New Year, Whistlekick family. Happy New Year to you. So I'll tell you what, if you want to throw your back out, I've got the perfect plan. Get in the car, drive to Maine, get out, and then sit on a couch. And I think the kicker is sleep on a futon. Get back in the car, lift heavy, awkward objects for, 15 minutes, and then get back in the car. Yeah. This whole left side of my body, like all along my back, all the way up there. And so when I got back, instead of just sitting again, I decided to do what really needed to be done, which was to go through those boxes that I did. And I feel better. I feel better this morning than I did yesterday when I first got out of the car. Whew, that was rough. But yeah, I'm sore. Jenny says, went to my brother's wedding on Saturday. How cool. New Year's Day wedding. Stacy says, visited with Laura and Mom on New Year's Day. Awesome. Jenny says, how to throw your back out much easier than Jeremy. Get a toddler. I wasn't aware that was one of the benefits. One of the tangential benefits of having a toddler was you get to throw your back out. Is there anything else to report before we do that? I don't think so. Couldn't find my slippers this morning for the longest time. That was annoying. You ever do that? You ever lose something like your slippers, something so innocuous, and you're looking around and you stopped looking in any of the logical places. And now you're looking at ridiculous places. Like maybe I put them behind the television, because obviously they're not there, but where else are they? Oh, they are right in front of my face, and I just happened to miss them when I looked there 16 times. Who knows? Liz says, oh no, that does sound like the perfect plan to make your back angry. Glad you're feeling better. Thank you. Good morning, Brian. Brian says, good morning. Happy 2022's first traditional work day. Have a blessed day, everyone. Bundle up. It's chilly out. Yeah, it is. It's something, the little thermometer temperature readout in the bottom of my laptop says it's 4 degrees outside. Not really loving that. It's a little cold. Anyway, I had the stove cranked when I got back yesterday. It was nice and toasty in here. Still toasty in here, but yeah, 4 degrees outside. It's a little cold. Good morning and happy new year to you, Kelly. All right, so let's talk about it. We've hinted at it for months now. Oh, the book's not sitting right here, so I won't show it. Okay. A long time ago, Stacy reached out to a potential guest. Stacy, who was in the chat. Good morning, Hollis. Stacy reached out to a potential guest, and we dreamed. And then a few months ago, Stacy very excitedly forwarded me an email from this potential guest who agreed to come on the show. And I said a lot of expletives and walked around and struggled to process the emotion of it. And then it happened. And it was great. And it is out today because this person, we tried to coordinate release around the release of their new book, which launches tomorrow. So today's episode of Martial Arts Radio is with someone that if you know the name, you understand this is a big deal. If you don't know the name, you may not. It's the author Dan Millman, who famously wrote Way of the Peaceful Warrior. And for me, this is a big deal. Now, we've talked about this on First Cup a few times, this idea that there are 3 books that changed my life. The first one was Way of the Peaceful Warrior. I was 19 years old, and somebody put a copy in my hands. And I can definitively say that without that action, or at least that book, Whistlekick wouldn't exist. This show would not exist. I probably wouldn't be living here. My life would be dramatically different. And there are very few actions or items or people that I can point to and say, this changed my life. But not only did this book change my life, it was possibly the single biggest thing that changed my life. And I got to talk to him. And we didn't just talk about a book. We talked about martial arts. We talked about his engagement with martial arts, how he got started, his passion for martial arts, which I'm going to admit, I knew very little about. I'd speculated, but it was fun. He, from what he said, he enjoyed going there. He enjoyed talking about this aspect of his life that, let's face it, in the context of pretty much any other interview, that's not what they're going to want to talk about. So Stacy's in the chat, of course. Stacy says, so happy for you. Well, I've hinted at my recognition of Stacy and making this happen a number of times, but I want to definitively tell everyone, without Stacy, this would not have happened. She reached out. She sent the compelling email that got his notice. And this is why when people reach out to us and they have guest suggestions and they're big names, I tell them, look, it is so much more authentic if it comes from you. If you reach out to these people and say, look, this is a show that I enjoy watching, listening to, and I think you should go on, and here's why, they're much more likely to say yes to a fan than another media person. So don't be afraid to dream big and say, oh, it would be cool if this person came on, and then reach out. We're still reaching out. Andrew's doing a great job. We still reach out to people, but getting your help on that does make a difference. Jenny says, it is an amazing book, and puts a bunch of hearts. I read it because of the way you talk about it, Jeremy. Thank you. That means a lot. Liz said, I also read that book because Jeremy recommended it. It is certainly one of my top books. Oh, I didn't know this. Stacy said, years ago, I had the website peacefulwarrior.net. What did you do with that? Interesting. So even though the episode was recorded in video, but we only released it in audio. And that was for me. I don't do a lot for me as it relates to the show, but I wanted to be able to see him when I talked to him. And I had a feeling that he would be able to handle that. You know, we don't do that with everyone because not everyone can handle looking at a camera. And see, I'm looking away from the camera now because you can't do it constantly. Not everyone can handle looking at the camera. Not everyone can handle not putting, their hand over their mouth when they're nervous about, visuals. So that's why we do audio for almost everything. But he's a pro. Figured he could do it. And we chatted for a little bit after the episode, and looks like sometime late winter, because he's in New York City. Sometime late winter, I'll go down and we'll grab a cup of tea and talk, because there's more to talk about. And I'm looking forward to that chat. Oh, so Stacy says she traded it to meet him and have lunch versus make money. He wanted it for copyright reasons. Oh, that's really cool. Good morning, Eric. Right on. So that's today's episode. Now, hopefully this connects some dots for those of you who have been watching for a couple months going, what is Jeremy talking about? What is he hinting at? This is crazy. We didn't put it out there in this way on the show. I shared this with Dan after we closed the show. There was something incredibly full circle about talking to him. And without going into super details, even the way that I came to learn about his book was weird and random. Somebody showed up and basically said, here, read this book. And it was a pretty girl, so I read the book. And then she disappeared, literally. Like, she was just gone within 2 weeks, 10 days. It was a very, very short period of time. But I'd read the book. And it changed my perspective. And I read it a few more times, and I gave the book to other people. And there are other pieces on this path. And even the way that he came to be on the show was kind of weird and random. And if you've read the book, you know that that's kind of the heart of the book, is that weird, random things happen. And there's something that feels appropriate about sort of closing that loop and doing so with an episode that releases today, the first episode of 2022. I see big things for us this year. We had some big things last year, but this is going to be a big year for us. And you're all on board for it, with it. I'm going to ask for support. I'm going to ask you to do other things. This is a big year. This is the year we turn profitable. This is the year with the seminar tour. There's a lot going on. So thanks for helping us get to this point. And thanks for the motivation to keep going. Yeah. All right. Stacy's telling me to fix the title on YouTube. That's an Andrew thing. But yes, we will fix it. All right. What do we got? I got messages pouring in from people here. Hold on. All right. So Frank left us some stuff, as always. Thank you to Frank. If you have comments or feedback that you want shared for the next episode, leave it in the Facebook page. Where's that banner? Where's that banner? Here it is. This one. Facebook.com/First Cup of Chairman. All right. Coming back. Thank you, Hollis. All right. Stacey says, sounds like you have more coming. That's big as well. Yes. there's big stuff coming. All right. So Frank says, yesterday was World Introvert Day. Here are some quotes from Susan Cain, author of Quiet, The Power of Introverts in a World That Can't Stop Talking. I'm unfamiliar with this book, but I am intrigued by the title. Number one, many people believe that introversion is about being antisocial, and that's really a misperception, because actually it's just that introverts are differently social. So they would prefer to have a glass of wine with a close friend as opposed to going to a loud party full of strangers. How many of you are introverts? I'm curious. Do you consider yourself an introvert? I would now call myself an extroverted introvert, or I play an extrovert on TV. I'm quite happy being solo or one-on-one. Doesn't bother me at all. I do need social contact, but I get a lot of that from this, believe it or not. I don't always like being in big groups. Maybe that was my childhood. Maybe it's because when I was in big groups, it wasn't always positive. I don't know. But I understand. Stacy says, so totally introverted. Jenny says, I am an extroverted introvert. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Hollis says, Millman changed my life. I never would have guessed. But awesome. For those of you in the chat watching live, Hollis is my next door neighbor and an awesome musician. Kelly says that she is most definitely an introvert unless she's wearing her super suit, aka her black belt. I get that. Dennis says, introverts unite alone in our own homes. If you truly know me, you know I'm team introvert. There's nothing wrong with being an introvert. All right, next. Introversion, along with its cousins, sensitivity, seriousness, and shyness, is now a second-class personality trait, somewhere between a disappointment and a pathology. Introverts living in the extrovert ideal are like women in a man's world, discounted because of a trait that goes to the core of who they are. Extroversion is an enormously appealing personality style, but we've turned it into an oppressive standard to which most of us feel we must conform. Ooh. Yeah. Now, I don't know if I'd go quite as far as she is, but I do understand that there is pressure. Extroversion is seen as a goal, as something to aspire to move in the direction of. No one ever tells an extrovert, hey, you should go spend more time by yourself and be alone and enjoy the quiet and not be around all of these people. In fact, when statements like that come out, it's usually because people are intervening in a lifestyle. They're saying, oh, the only reason you shouldn't be doing this is because you've selected the wrong people to be around. Drugs, alcohol, something like that. But clearly, there are plenty of other reasons. Now, one of the things that I struggled with early on, and if you saw me in, let's say, 2013, 14, even 15, when I was attending martial arts events, setting up a booth in those early years, I didn't know what to do with myself. I was in front of people, talking to them. And if we were having a conversation about whistlekick and products that we made, I was fine. That was selling. I can sell. But just having conversations with random strangers when there were, half a dozen people around, that gets a little spicy for me. Liz says, I'm an introvert who learned to play extroverted when needed. I would guess that there are far more introverts playing at extrovert than there are genuine extroverts. I know genuine extroverts. And I know that they struggle when it's one-on-one and quiet. They want to go out. They need to be around people. And I'm not going to say all of them. I'm not going to make this generalization of all extroverts because I've only known a few well enough that I can make this call. But for the ones that I've known, most of them, I could say that their extroversion is just as much of a defense mechanism as introversion is. Introversion, at least when I was a kid, and I think some of my tendencies still, is safe. It's safe to be solo. No one's gonna be mean. No one's gonna pick on me. No one's gonna judge me. What I have is a known quantity. Where I am, myself, what I'm doing, I have control. The true extroverts that I've known really well, they want to be around a lot of people, quiet, not be quiet. They want to be loud and boisterous because it keeps them from thinking about themselves, and they receive validation that kind of counteracts some of their own self-judgment. I'm thinking of a couple people in particular who you get them alone and they start to fall apart. Yeah. I wonder if anybody else has noticed this. Jenny says, I have anxiety thinking about the times I've had to work a booth for various job roles over the years. Stacy met me at one of these events. I met you while helping haul bags to set up for one of those, and my world changed. Oh, thank you. Jenny adds on, funny enough, I used to work the front desk in my dorm in college, and that was one of my favorite things I've done. Strangely enough, me too. When I was in college, I worked the information desk where I knew absolutely nothing early on. But a few weeks in, I knew where everything was on campus. I knew everyone. And no one knew I was an introvert. I was so excited at the opportunities because I didn't have very many coming from the woods of Maine that it kind of changed who I was. And I was more receptive to meeting people and going out and doing things. And I don't think anybody knew I was an introvert. I was go, go, go through junior year. It wasn't until senior year when I moved off campus that I finally took a break. And then when I moved to Vermont, I moved around and finally said, you know what? I'm moving back into the woods. Kind of where it all started. Quieter. Stacy also hated working booths, did arts fairs for about a year and a half and hated every damn minute of it. Kelly says, when I first got my black belt, I used to wait in the bathroom until I heard someone start class so I wouldn't be asked to. That's a story. That is a story. Wow. I can see that. I really do get that. And you know, it's funny. Not all of us started training real early. I did. And when Kelly talks about her super suit, her superhero suit, you know, being her black belt, her dobok. Growing up, the only time I felt like I don't know if I would say extroverted, but truly confident was wearing my gi at karate class. And that was from a pretty young age. That was my thing. That was me. I had it. I was good to go. And I still have a bit of that. If you know me and you see me in a social situation, or you see me in a martial arts situation, I'm not quite the same person. It's a slightly different face of who I am because I know how to show up at a martial arts event. I know what needs to be done. I know who I need to be. I know how to act. I have parameters for that work pretty well. I hear a plow going by. And last quote from Susan Cain, courtesy of Frank. Thank you again to Frank. There's zero correlation between being the best talker and having the best ideas. Ooh, I like that one. That's a good one. In fact, you might even say there's an inverse relationship. The more time you spend talking, the less time you spend thinking. I don't know if we could say that the smartest people of history were introverts, but I am pretty confident that the most thoughtful people would be introverts. And I think it's a reasonable case to be made to say that thought leads to ideas. You know, we think we can connect that chain. Look at all these comments coming in, man, guys. Liz says, I think many people mistake that leaders and teachers are mostly extroverts, when in reality, there's a certain level of self-reflection, which primarily is done solo, that is needed for great leadership or teachers that introverts have. I get that. Jenny says, I've been in a leadership role for more than half of my life. When the introverted anxiety was building, I would remind myself that someone needs to step up and lead. If I did it first, others would join me. If I didn't do it, who would? I was usually a better option than others, so I made it happen. I understand that. All right. Well, it's time to go. I'm going to drink more coffee. I didn't even tell you about my day. It's a pretty normal Monday. I've got some client work, some conversations to be had. We'll get there. And I hope you leave me some stuff to talk about for tomorrow. I really hope you check out today's episode of Martial Arts Radio with Dan Millman. He's got a book dropping tomorrow. It's a memoir, Peaceful Heart Warrior Spirit, which I was lucky enough to get an advanced copy on. I am not done with it. I've just barely started it. I think most of you who have been around know my challenge with getting into a physical book. He did suggest when we recorded, he said, there's a novel. He's like, there's a novel I wrote that I'm pretty proud of, and I think you should check it out. And as an audiobook, it is phenomenal. The production on it is over the top good. The Journey of Socrates. And he does not read it. They hired a reader, and it was very well done. So I hope everybody has a great day, and Stacy has a wonderful way to end the show today. For those of you who have read the book, I don't remember if this made it into the movie. There are no ordinary moments. I appreciate all of you. Remember, if you want to support us, the work that we're doing, patreon.com/whistlekick. Use the code FIRSTCUP15 for 15% off. There's new product up, and there's more new product coming at whistlekick.com. And if you want the full list, it's whistlekick.com/family. What did I put up, was it Thursday or Friday? I put up some new stuff. So go check that out. Thank you. And I'll see you back here tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Peace.